All right, let's get you updated on what the grain markets are doing now that we've been trading about 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the big board. Our quotes are from bar chart. Here we go. Okay, on the corn board, we currently have September now 4 1/4 cents lower. What is this? They started out higher. 4.75 1/4 on the low of the day. December corn down 4 at 4.89, also on a new low for the day. Well, those highs didn't last very long. In soybeans, we have September now 9.5 cents higher at 13.72 1/4. But boy, they're giving back a lot of ground here in a hurry. You have November soybeans 13.5 higher yet at 13.66 3/4. But look at where we had the high last night. We're off of that by about 14 or 15 cents. Okay, what about wheat? What's going on here? In Chicago, September down 16 1/4 at 5.97. Oh my gosh, there went that 6 handle again. Now we're in the 5s, 5.97. December wheat now down 14.5 at 6.24.5. Really struggling here in the wheat market this morning. Hard red wheat, Kansas City, September down 17 3/4 at 7.35 3/4. Just roughly about a penny off of our low of the day. We're off of our overnight high by, dare I say it, 26 cents. Yikes. Let's look at spring wheat in Minneapolis. What's going on here? September down 12.5 at 7.90 1/4. Solidly under $8 now on that spring wheat market. And we'll check out the cotton market here this morning. December is now 88 points higher at 84.50 per pound. That's off of its overnight high by about 60 points, 66 points, I guess you would say. All right, so we're kind of giving up the ghost here this morning after what was a pretty strong run overnight. Chris Swift is with us. Swift Trading, and he's based in Nashville here. So, interesting trade. What do you think about this? Kind of running out of steam.
Yeah, well, I kind of saw it open last night. I was a little bit shocked that it opened as high as what it did to begin with. So I wasn't really as surprised. And we have really divided these markets into each one of their sectors. And clearly wheat being dominated by the Ukraine and Russian ordeal, Russia undercutting there. And we're going to have really good wheat seedings this fall, I think. The corn market, bigger acres, yield not as important. And in the bean market, fewer acres and the yield very important, especially now with this 100-degree temperature kind of wrapping up here at the end of pollination.
And, of course, the Pro Farmer Crop Tour is going on right now. We'll be getting reports direct from the field all through the tour this year from several vantage points. So I'm looking forward to all those reports. I saw a few posts a little bit ago on social media. Sounds like in the early stages, they're just getting rolling. In different parts of the Corn Belt, it looks like things are not too bad, really.
No, and a lot of it depends on where you go to. You know, certain areas it's going to be better than others, and so we'll get a pretty good cross mix. But until you get to the end of the week and you get numbers that you're able to match with USDA, see what they say, get the progress, and see how long this heat really does stay and how much of it encompasses.
It was such an interesting year too, because we did not really ever have a general frontal system that went through with a general rain. You know, it was always spotty showers and scattered showers, and it was hit or miss. And so you may have neighbors, you know, that one may have a pretty good crop and one may have burned up.
Yeah, and it all, you know, everything seemed to be about 2-week patterns. So, you know, you get really hot and dry there just as the corn was coming up. So really early corn had about a 2-week time frame where it struggled against it. Then we improved, and now we're back again struggling. And I think second crop beans are probably going to be the most in jeopardy because not only growing, but, you know, blooming too. So it's going to be pretty interesting as we go into this last 2 weeks of August.
Now, we did have overnight export sales. We can maybe flash that up on the screen here, but we did have a sale of some soybeans to unknown destinations. We did have another sale of corn to Mexico. There they are. Soybeans, 159,350 tons. Corn, 111,770 tons. But it's kind of like that little news tidbit is getting lost in the shuffle with everything going on with the tour.
Well, it is. And the tour and all of our supplies to begin with around the world. You know, we look at South America really dry right now. We know they're our biggest competitor. We know that beans and bean meal in China are very, very expensive right now. They're right up at the tip top. We believe they're going to have to buy more soybeans coming in and maybe even buy a little bit more corn from us.
Some of the pictures that I saw off of the tour this morning, I did note that, to me, it was kind of interesting, being a former farmer, but a lot of the pictures, the corn only had maybe 16 rows at best. Now, I don't know if that'll continue to be a trend, There was a lot of 14-row corn, so just something to keep an eye on. Also, the big news overnight, of course, was the fact that it sounds like Ukraine is very close to subsidizing insurance on ships that may travel and traverse the Black Sea region along the Ukrainian coast. They're going to try and provide safe passage and hopefully get the insurance rates down so they can get maybe up to 30 ships to go in there next month. Not yet, but they're hoping to maybe in a couple of weeks. But that's why they're pounding on wheat today, too, I understand. Yeah. Okay, we'll come back in a moment and we'll take a look at what's going on in our livestock trade next. All right, we're back with you talking with the one and only Chris Swift of Swift Trading. And now let's go ahead and take another look at our livestock trade to see how they're holding up. We started out firmer on the cattle market, and you know what? They're hanging in there. If anything, Chris, I believe we added to the gains now. October live cattle currently up $1.30 at 180.12. That's within a dime of our high of the morning session. December now trading $1.25 higher. We're at 184.42. Well, shazam, that's on the high of the day. Look at that. How about that? So you got October, December, and February all over $1 higher. So they're gaining a little head of steam. On the feeders, with the corn reversing and kind of falling out of bed a little bit ago, feeders are getting a little bolder. You have September up $2.02 at 250.55. October up $2.12 at 252.82. And you have November also over $2 higher. All right, how about lean hogs? Can they join the party? No, they cannot. And we have October down 85 at 81.27, and you have December down 65 at 73.85. Well, that's about 95 cents off of its earlier high of the day. We're within a dime or so of our low of the day, and things not looking too optimistic on lean hogs today. How come?
Yeah. I'm not real sure. Last week we had some big moves in the futures. We were up $3 or $4 last week in the futures, and the index had come down a little bit. So maybe it's probably index related more than anything. It had been softening. And then the cattle on feed report still shows just a little over 11 million head on feed, so they're really crunching it down to the wire. Once under 11, you can figure that's probably pretty tight. And we're all still amazed by the small percentages of losses of beef and the enormous percentages in gains of price. So we're a little skeptical now that price has kind of risen up here and stayed here for so long. No doubt it can move higher, but there's always things that are undercutting it right now. And we saw some of that last week with our increased imports.
Yeah, placements at 92%. I mean, was that a shock to you or not?
It was lower than what everybody was anticipating. But if you go back and you look, we had that week in July that it was just roasting hot. Yeah. And I would dare to say that a lot of people said, let's just not move those cattle through this week. So maybe towards the end of July, they placed some in there. And then August, I think our placements have been a little bit heavier going forward.
Interesting.
And not much, but just a little bit. And maybe that is just remnants from July.
Are you optimistic on cash cattle this week then?
I think they'll be able to hold steady. Kind of looks like boxes are up pretty sharply. It's all kind of risen up to the top now, and there's no margin for anybody. So we're just kind of jockeying for position right now. And the consumer is the one in the middle of it because with the increase in beef prices, then they're most likely going to raise prices to the consumer.
Somehow the consumer always feels like they're in the middle. Anyway, Chris, thank you for
always
the help
a pleasure,
today.
Mark.
Good to have you come in. Chris Swift of Swift Trading. Tammy, I'll turn it back to you.